Most people think that learning a new language means, oh, cool, now I can order a coffee in Paris. But what if I told you that becoming bilingual is linked to more processing power of your mind, better focus and mental flexibility, and even delaying dementia symptoms? Yeah, it is way bigger than ordering a croissant. And by the way, if your goal is to become bilingual in French, I've built a platform called Immersion that uses these research principles. I'll talk about it in just a few minutes, so stick with me. Before we dive into all the really cool benefits, let's get one thing straight. Linguists usually divide language skills into 4 different parts. Listening and reading, which is more or less understanding, what we call input, what we receive, and speaking and writing, which is producing, expressing yourself, what we call output. You are not only bilingual when you're perfect. That's a myth. You are bilingual as soon as you can function in 2 languages in real situations. And bilingual brains come in different styles. First, we have compound bilinguals. You learned both languages in the same environment. For example, 2 home languages. Mommy is French, daddy is American. One speaks French, the other one speaks English. The kid becomes bilingual by learning the 2 languages in the same environment. So both languages connect to the same concepts. Secondly, you have coordinate bilinguals. Basically, you have one language at home, another at school or work, and they're basically stored more separately. And finally, you have subordinate bilinguals. At first, you understand your new language through your native one. So you mentally kind of translate everything. Most of us move along this spectrum naturally. The important thing here is that your brain can build a new language system at any age. Now, here's when things get wild. When researchers put bilingual people in MRI scanners, they discovered something huge. Bilinguals just don't use their brain differently. Their brain physically changed. One famous study found that people who learned a second language had more gray matter density in the part of the brain that helps with language, attention, and combining information. Newer studies show changes in the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain that helps you switch tasks, ignore distractions, stay focused, and monitor what you're doing. But why does this happen? Because every time you speak, both of your languages are active in the background. Your brain is constantly choosing the right language, inhibiting the other one, and switching when needed. That constant language jungling is basically a daily workout for your executive function system, the part of the brain that manages complex tasks. And over years and decades, it really pays off. The next one is one of the most surprising findings. Several studies, including a huge 2020 review, found that bilingual people develop symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer around 4 years later than monolingual people with the same education and background. Bilingualism does not prevent those illnesses, but it builds something called cognitive reserve, which means extra mental backup routes that help you function normally longer, even as the brain ages. There's one researcher that explained very nicely. He said, dementia is the flood. Bilingualism doesn't stop the flood, but it strengthens the dam. So next time you struggle with tricky verb conjugation, remember, you're not just learning vocabulary, you're investing in your future brain. Next benefit feels like sci-fi, but I swear it's real. In classic moral dilemmas experiments, like the famous trolley problem, people make different decisions depending on which language they use. In their native language, people respond more emotionally, and they would be like, don't harm anyone. In a foreign language, people tend to choose the more logical option. Sacrifice one person to save 5 people. But why? Not because bilinguals are colder. It's because using another language reduces the automatic emotional impact, giving you a bit of mental distance. And that distance lets you reason from a different angle. So bilingualism isn't just extra vocabulary. It's a second lens of thinking. Now, outside the lab, language is deeply social. Learning and using a different language forces you to pay closer attention to tone, gesture, and context. It forces you to discover new ways of expressing politeness, humor, disagreements, affection, and it forces you to constantly shift perspective. How would they say this? Children who grow up multilingual often show stronger skills in understanding what others know, want, and feel. The basics of empathy. Many bilingual adults also say that they feel like slightly different versions of themselves in each language. More direct in one, more formal or funny in another one. Now, let's talk practical. Across different countries, speaking a second language is linked to earning more. Some studies show anywhere from 5% to 35% more, depending on the language and job market. But even beyond salary, you qualify for more jobs. Tourism, tech, healthcare, education, international roles. You become the person who can connect teams across countries, and you can actually live abroad instead of being stuck in that expat bubble. So yes, language learning is emotional and cultural, but it's also a real career advantage. Now the fun stuff. When you speak the local language, travel goes from taking pictures of buildings to actually interacting with people. And when this happens, you can ask for real recommendation from local people. You can negotiate. You can handle problems. You can make jokes. And you can make friends. You can finally enjoy movies, stand-up, and series without subtitles, actually catching humor, the accents, and wordplay. And then there's the content you unlock. The whole YouTube world, podcasts, books, memes. And when that happens, the language stops feeling like homework. It becomes part of your life. All of these amazing benefits, brain growth, cognitive reserve, empathy, better decision, they don't come from doing 5 minutes on an app every week. They come from regularly understanding and using the language. The key idea behind it in modern research is this. We acquire a language when we understand messages in the language, content that is just slightly above our level, and that's called comprehensible input. Practically, you need lots of input, interesting listening, especially when you begin, and readings when you're more intermediate and advanced, stories, explanation, conversations, all of that. You need the right level. Not Netflix when you watch a movie in the target language and you understand 2% of what's happening. You need content that you understand most of with just a little bit of challenge. Number 3, you need chances to speak without stress. You need a low pressure conversation and environment where mistakes are normal. And finally, you need consistency over intensity. 15 to 20 minutes a day will beat a month cram sessions. This is exactly why I built Immersion.co. On Immersion, you will be able to enjoy hours of French comprehensible input videos with visual support, a variety of topics for 4 different levels. You will have a smart AI tutor that adapts to your level with crosstalk modes in which you can speak English and the AI responds in French. It corrects you gently and keeps conversation in that I understand but I'm learning zone. With Immersion, you are not memorizing lists of vocabulary. You're watching real French content, understanding it with subtle help, and practicing with an AI tutor who matches your level. That's how you actually become bilingual faster than just the traditional methods. Okay, that's it for me. Let me know which benefit you think is the craziest. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment this video. This helps so much. And thank you so much for all of your support. It means the world to me. À très bientôt. Mouah! Je vous embrasse. Salut!